Express HPTV. We about to cook. We about to cook Breakfast Club, and we're gonna show you. Well, I'm gonna show you in this video how black people stop being so emotional and how you interact with people on a daily basis. Because the Breakfast Club, they showed you while I made the video that the celebrities and these icons and these idols that you worship, they pagan. Worship pagan idols. You know what I mean? You might not see it like that. You see it as, oh, I like DMX, or oh, I like Tupac, or whatever. But then you take on their mentality, because a lot of people don't even realize Tupac is the father of drill rap. We ride on our enemies and woke up screaming F the word. I mean, come on. But we love him. We got to start really getting real with each other. So we finna watch The Breakfast Club. I mean, we finna watch this clip. See, I like reacting when I see something going down that the people should see, and I point it out. I want y'all to watch how The Breakfast Club handles Larry Elder. Fair usage, and this is for educational purposes. Check out how they handle him. And this is Philip Scott. Shout out to him for his breakdown on it. Let's check him out.
Larry Elder about, the N-word wake-up call, right? And I know where his mind was going, like, hey, have you ever had something like that? But we're going to review this. Of course, we're going to do the audio version of it, because sometimes when you show the Breakfast Club interviews, I know other people do it. Listen, I'm not about to go through all the stuff you go through to try to clear all that mess. I don't want to deal with it, right? Y'all have probably seen it. It's about hearing it for me right now and responding to it in real time. So let's go ahead and do that.
Have you ever heard a wake-up call? No.
Oh, let me stop right here and give myself a plug. Y'all starting to see other YouTubers now using a computer versus StreamYard and that stuff in the back that you got to pay for with all the lights and make like a studio production. This is raw blogging. You know what I mean? This is my laptop. We watch this in real time on iPad. You know what I mean? It's real blogging. Pay attention. Watch what goes down.
It is an incident where a person of color forgets that they are of color and are reminded rather brutally by
seeing it. It's about hearing it for me right now and responding to it in real time. So let's go ahead and do that.
Have you ever heard a wake-up call? No. It is an incident where a person of color forgets that they are of color and are reminded rather brutally by an unexpected act of racism. Have you?
I got a problem with that definition. The problem I have with the definition, if it's a N-word wake-up call, why are you saying people of color?
All right, I'm going to start right there. Charlemagne just asked Larry Elder. Larry Elder's like about 70. He a conservative, old black man. You know what I mean? His views, they've been his views for the last 40 years. But you got to respect him and give him some respect, because he's standing on it. And they tried to handle him. He asked Larry Elder, have you ever got his nigga wake-up call? Now check out what Larry Elder's do to his ass.
Color. Do you know saying people of color is another word saying color? That's a remix on the term color. Now, we didn't like the term colored, right? So why are you accepting people of color? It's just a remix on that. And then, when you mention that term, nobody else has been labeled that term, the N-word. Nobody been labeled that but Black America. So why are you saying people of color? Whoever came with that definition is silly, and Charlemagne should have known better than that. Let's continue.
Oh, brother. I'm just asking. You think you've ever...
Well, I'm acutely aware, Charlemagne, that I'm a black person, just as you are a black person. And when Joe Biden insulted you by saying, you ain't really black, you don't know whether or not you want to vote for me or vote for Donald Trump, it seems to me that should have been a wake-up call on your part. How dare this guy come in here and insult you, a black man, and tell you you got to think a certain kind of way? I'm amazed that you weren't mad about that.
Man, Larry Elder, wow. He checkmate Charlemagne so good in his responses. I mean, the whole time Larry Elder was there, he was just hitting them with so many facts. I'm like, why didn't y'all bring somebody on that platform when you know Larry Elder's gonna be there who could fire back off at Larry Elder? But see, that whole interview showed you one thing that we've always talked about, all of us who are doing media today. We have told you that entertainers need to stay in that lane of entertainment. Talk about Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion. Talk about Lil Durk. Talk about whoever else you're going to talk about. Stay in the lane of entertainment, movies, comedy. Just stay in that lane. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you try to cross into something you know nothing about, and somebody like Larry Elder, who is seasoned at his get down, he made y'all look really silly. Even when you tried to so-called get him, he flipped it back on Charlemagne because we all talked about that situation with Charlemagne. How are you sitting up there letting Joe Biden tell you you're not black if you don't vote for him? So our blackness is predicated off of voting for Joe Biden, and unfortunately, Joe Biden, I guess, was right because a lot of you were black because you voted for him, even after insulting you. No other community will allow themselves to be insulted in that manner, but you. But because you're so much in your feelings for everything about you is feelings. And I'm going to call it what it is. Traditionally, women operate in the area of
I'm gonna let him say this before I go to
because
some
they're
other
naturally
clips.
that way. Men are supposed to operate in the area of non-emotion, more factual, more is this or that. We don't do the gray area, right? We're focused more on strategy. We're more focused more on dominating and different things that men are supposed to be focused on. But unfortunately, in our community, when it comes to political party, especially the Democrat Party, it is an emotional attachment with these people. I see grown men so emotional. I'm not talking about the.
And he not lying. He not lying. I know people, intelligent black people, that will argue you down about the Democratic Party. You know what I mean? And you would be telling them like, well, you know, the Democratic Party was the Confederates that wanted to keep us in slavery. And they'd be like, well, that was a long time ago. I was like, you know, the Republicans are the ones who won the Civil War and freed the slaves. Well, they don't got nothing to do with nothing. Then you continue to tell them, like, you tell them the history. Okay, like, the Democrats and the politicians, they have another agenda. Their agenda is power. Their agenda is having power. Most black people's agenda is surviving. You in survival mode, they in conquer mode. So they tell you, the Democrats, they're your friends. Martin Luther King told you, the liberal is the biggest hindrance to black liberation. Martin Luther King said that. Malcolm X, another one of your leaders, said that the Democrats are foxes, they're not wolves. They play like they're your friend and they nibble at you until they devour you. The Democratic Party. So you have a man like Joe Biden that said he didn't want to integrate the schools because black people would turn the schools in the community into jungles. He told you that your kids were super predators. I mean, he created a crime bill that incarcerated so many black men for crack, and then his son is one of the biggest crackheads in the country. His son. Didn't y'all know they found cocaine in the White House about 2 months ago? They had a whole bag in the White House. So, what they do, they use conquer and divide. You know what I mean? Because they know if you got black men and women in agenda politic about survival, like for real, like survival, black people is in a politic about survival. So They trying to survive, but you got them at each other's throat. Why all you really want is the power and the money and your debauchery and your sacrifices, your rituals, and all of that. So you hear a man and you see people like Charlemagne. He said to Larry Elder, like, when you got your nigga wake up call, like, you didn't just let Joe Biden sit up there and tell you weren't black if you ain't vote for him. Like, these people be killing me. They be killing me. We gonna go down through there. I can find some more. I got time today.
Women, hey, I'm not mad at women being emotional. That's what they do. We have grown men in our community that's so emotional that they literally react like the women will behind this Democrat Party, period. When we're supposed to be looking at and even protecting our community, protecting the women, protecting the children, we're supposed to be watching out for certain things. We are just as emotional as they are when it comes to this Democrat Party, period. Oh, Trump, he's saying some this, he's saying some that. Man,
I'm gonna stop this right now because I want to find some other footage of other people weighing in on this topic, because this topic is interesting. I want you to see this lady. Her name is Teslyn Figueroa or something like that. This her second time just like going off. She be going on. I'm gonna use. They might strike my channel. They might do something. I gotta do something. I gotta find another way. Cause you don't want. This is fair usage, but this is all the footage. Like this is viral for all the wrong reasons. All right, this Officer Tatum. I'm gonna go here. He might not strike me. I'll give him a shout out. But you gotta really look at their dialogue.
Slavery, unfortunately.
Well, that was your response. That was your response to if reparations should happen. So your response to that was, like it or not, slavery was legal, and one would think that was a defense on those who were asking.
Well, you would think it was a defense, but it is not a defense.
Round 3, fight!
I'm gonna tell you, this is why they want to censor or like really put real stipulations on bloggers now and what we do, because like what I'm doing is I'm showing you these different bloggers and how we get media and how we do it today is totally different. We got our own news and we showing it in real time. Check it out. Now this he gonna weigh in on the same topic.
It was brought to you by TatoStore.com. TatoStore.com. Get your merch. Link in the description section. Like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so you get notification anytime we go live, make a video. And also, my wife has a new store. It's called Shop Freedom University. Shop Freedom University. I'll put that link in the description section as well. Let's get into this. Ladies and gentlemen, I told you guys that I was going to continue to make videos about Larry Elder, because I think Larry Elder's points that he made on the Breakfast Club is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and he did very well there, exposing the lies that are told to us as black people and then perpetuated off into the world on our white and Hispanic and Asian brothers and sisters, perpetuating this lie about the experiences of blacks and the plight of blacks. When I say lie, I just think they exaggerate it to the point of making us always sound like everything that happens in society victimizes us, and I don't think that's true. All right, so I want to play another clip. This is a 2-minute clip. Like I said, this is the third part. I think we can make like 5 more videos about showing, Larry Elder just dismantling the theology that's been taught to so many black people. And you can see in their eyes that they're exhausted at the truth. Like they can't rebut nothing he's saying. Now, the one woman who's completely a narcissist, in my opinion, she's the only one really trying to combat him. they are seeing these facts and it's slapping them across the face. But the woman she's just so bent on just being right that she can't hear nothing. Roll the clip.
What's your thoughts with Florida? And you see that they're trying to take our history out of these history books and not trying to teach our history. What's your thoughts?
I find it interesting that the Democrats are the ones complaining about Florida. This is a party of slavery, party of Jim Crow, the party of the KKK, the party of the Southern Manifesto, the party of Dred Scott, the party that I said earlier destroying the nuclear intact family, and the party that is opposing school choice. And now they want to lecture Florida on making sure the proper history of slavery is taught. I don't know anybody who's defending slavery. Anybody. Not Ron DeSantis. He's not defending
people benefited from slavery.
Actually, you're talking about one line. You're talking about one line in about 127 pages of the study, and it is a line that was repeated almost verbatim in the associated in the advanced placement African American course that the DeSantis administration refused to use because of all the sexual stuff that was in it. It's basically the same thing that was in the advanced placement African American courses. And now because it's in that, all of a sudden the governor is accused of somehow defending slavery. He's not doing anything of the sort.
Right behind me down this street are some of the roughest conditions people can find themselves in. Many without food, water, or a roof over their head. But I'm not in some third world country. I'm actually in San Francisco, California. It's hard to think this is happening right here in the United States. And
it's more. I just want to make a comment. The first thing he said is nobody's defending slavery. Another thing that I forget his name. It's Charlemagne DJ Envy, I think his name is. He's tried to say that Ron DeSantis is taking black history out of the schools. It's just not happening. They're just trying to make sure that we're teaching correct history. We're not teaching biased history to make kids hate each other and that everything was about the plight of black people. Slavery had nothing to do with black people in America. It didn't. Were there things that spun from the viewpoint of enslaving blacks, certain stereotypes, certain behaviors? Yes, it did. But slavery wasn't about black people. It was about the availability of cheap labor. They tried to enslave white people. They tried to enslave the natives. They couldn't keep natives because natives had a language and they also knew the terrain. So in the middle of the night, they gone. You can't hold them down. They were self-sustainable on the land. So what did they do? How can they get cheap labor? They went to black people who were enslaving other black people and they purchased those slaves from black people who had enslaved their own people, and that began to be the prominence of black slaves here in America. But most of the slaves didn't even come here. They went to South America. All right, let me let them finish.
What did you think
Well,
about
sir,
that?
you were actually one that defended slavery. In your comments, you said that, like it or not, slavery was legal in response to reparations. So it's you that was defending slavery, correct?
Defending it and saying that it's illegal are two very different things. Slavery, unfortunately.
That was your response. That was your response into if reparations should happen. So your response to that was, like it or not, slavery was legal, and one would think that was a defense on those who were asking.
Well, you would think it was a defense, but it is not a defense. Unfortunately, slavery has been part and parcel of human history.
My thing with this is, why is Tesla so hostile to old ass Larry Elder? Because he got an opinion. He an old man with an opinion. And his facts is right. Watch how angry and disrespectful she is. This is crazy. Black people, we gotta do better.
From the very beginning, Asians enslaved Asians, whites enslaved whites, blacks enslaved blacks, Native Americans enslaved Native Americans. This is a culture, the Western civilization, that had a revulsion against it. We had a civil war against it. And we ought to applaud ourselves for doing something about this. This is a flawed country. It's moving forward. It's becoming more perfect all the time. Today, if you are born and raised in America, if you finish high school, presumably one where you can read, write, and compute at grade level, which is why I support school choice, don't have a kid before you're 20, get married first, get a job, keep a job, don't quit it until you get another job, and avoid the criminal justice system, you will not be poor. If you don't follow that formula, there's a good chance you will be.
I mean, what can they say about what the elder has said? You know, I really I didn't hear the whole conversation because I'm just kind of getting the best pieces out of it.
They spitting facts.
But I feel like Charlamagne, DJ Envy are both at least listening, because these truth bombs are slapping them across the head. And as a man, and this is the flaws that some women have, not all, some women, is that as a man, logic permeates more than emotionalism.
Now, you can see the thing in both of my clips. The bloggers, as they finna start saying about women bloggers, or, you know, not just, oh, thanks Virgo Child, but not just he breaking down, if you look at it, how Democrats they use conquer divide. You know what I mean? They elevate the women in our community while they also throwing berries in front of men to make women the breadwinner, and women working in factories and whatever. They got to pick up all kind of things and engines and all of that, and they work around other men, and then we say, okay, our black women are acting masculine, but you got them in masculine situations. They're working at factories, plants, and on their feet all day or whatever. They working in masculine situations, so they gotta adapt because they're human. They're going to adapt. But the thing that we forget is that when they adapt to that type of masculinity, and then the inside they still women, and their emotions, they warm within themselves, and we don't need no outsiders who created a problem playing with our heads and playing in our face. And that's, they be playing in our face. Because watch this.
So if you hear the man speaking logic, you start to sit back and say, he's presenting facts that I cannot disprove. They make sense to me. Logically, Larry Elder probably needs to continue to speak and let me be quiet and listen to him and hear him out, because I'm starting to think about the things he's saying. Women, on the other hand, not all, but some, this one in particular, they don't hear facts. They hear emotions. She's getting emotionally invested that this man is debunking who she claimed to be. She can't hear anything he's saying. And that's why he said, she goes, some people would see that as you supported slavery. He go, no, you would see that. Charlamagne didn't say it. DJ Envy didn't say it. She sees it as him defending. And he's not defending slavery. It is true, slavery was legal. You know, just because now we realize that it was barbaric to be legal, you can't be retroactive in prosecution. Marijuana usage in many states were illegal. I mean, it was illegal. And now, in some states, they have now passed laws that you can use for recreational purposes. Do you then go back and free?
I'm going to interject. Prohibition. It was illegal to drink a beer. It was illegal to drink liquor. It was illegal. But people found out that, hey, we're going to do it anyway.
Everybody that went to jail for weed? No, that's not the way things work. You know, Coca-Cola used to have cocaine in there, or coca leaf, from the coca leaf. I think it was, maybe they made it to cocaine. I don't know. It was highly addictive and they had to remove it from Coca-Cola. Do you go back and prosecute them because they did? No, it's because when technology advanced, we realized some of these things were probably not healthy for you. All of the above, then you have to proceed from that point moving forward. Same thing with our country. It was legal all across the world to enslave people. Yeah, now we look back on it and say, how could people possibly do that? I remember when electric chair was a form of not corporal punishment, but a form of execution. Electric chair. And before the electric chair, and they put the sheet over your eyes, the eyeballs used to pop out people's head. And so they realized, oh, that's kind of gruesome, so they put a sheet over your eyes, and then they shock you to death and through electrocution. And now looking back on it, I don't even think they electrocute people anymore. That is now deemed inhumane. So do you go back and arrest the ancestors? Your ancestors passed the bill that allowed us to put people in an electric chair. Now everybody from that point on should be subservient to criminals because they stop it. Y'all doing too much, man. It was legal. You got young people growing up in a time where it was legal. How do you blame a white kid?
Let me show you how dirty Democrats is. Y'all was talking about defund the police, right? They used defund the police and what y'all thought y'all was really doing to create a purge because they changed the bond. They started actually letting people out on personal bonds who had heinous crimes and wasn't even telling the victims. Just letting them out. Like somebody do something to you, rob you, whatever. They get arrested. They go on there, they let them out the next morning on a personal bond. And they back out knowing you, the situation, whatever. But you gotta watch these people because they out to destroy you for real.
Kid, when their parents are showing them people getting lynched and that black people were property, how do you expect them to think any different? You're a mindless person if you cannot see the conundrum that occurred with the legal process. Slavery was legal, so people were legally enslaving people, and therefore that what comes with that was other people begin to normalize it. Why would you believe that this person is anything more than a slave or subhuman? Because that's what you were raised to believe. It was legal to believe that. Everything pointed in the direction that that was normalized. And people began to grow out of it. Can we give people grace that they were able to grow out of something that was barbaric? Go back to Jesus' day. They used to crucify people, put them on a cross, almost beat them to death, poke them in the side, let them bleed out, and then let the fowls of the air consume.
That's his take on it. There's so much of it. I'm gonna do one more clip. I'm gonna find some more where they showing different things. How like black people, we can never get on code. Can't get on code. Oh, I would go to Anton. See what Anton say. Anton gonna have a whole different take. Let's watch. You only watch Anton.
Summer's almost over. It's the last chance to get sizzling summer savings. Right now, only at Dowling Chrysler.
Out here all the way around me. See that? Everybody, believe it or not, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. It is 2 o'clock in the morning, and people are out and about and they're having fun, and I am no exception. But with that being said, there's some things that I want to address that's going on back at home. And I should be flying back within the next 24 hours or so. I've been here for like 8-9 days or something.
Let's see your
I don't know. I've completely lost.
I bet you did.
Right? Because this Larry Elder interview, I think, is really a highlight moment for what's going on within the culture. And when I say the culture, I'm talking about the things that we talk about and celebrate the most. I think that the culture has been trashed for a long time. And with this Larry Elder interview, with me going in and me look.
Caveat. I can't stand this guy. Caveat. I can't stand him. I can't stand him. He always gonna have a broad position. And I'm watching this live with you, but I guarantee you, whatever come out of his mouth, it's gonna be fuckery.
Looking at the comments of what happened inside of the Breakfast Club interview, I was really expecting a lot of people to be on the side of the Breakfast Club, because you know how we are. We got this mindset where we got to side, we got to stay on code regardless.
He said we got this mindset. He finna start his bullshit. Watch it.
I was not expecting everybody to be on the side of Larry Elder in the comments. I wasn't at all. but they were, and it's a completely different mindset, right? So I'm wondering, are people starting to wake up from the plantation mentality? And that it doesn't matter whether or not you agree with me or disagree with me. It don't matter which side of the fence you're on. Are you an independent thinker that's capable of making a decision based off of you getting the information and consuming it and making an informed decision versus what somebody put into you or somebody taught you, or you having to stay on code because you have an expectation from the community to move a certain way? And I think that people are starting to wake up. I think that
What the fuck did he just say? I don't know. If y'all understood what he just said, put in the chat and explain to me. I'll look at it. But I don't know what the hell he just said.
more people than not are starting to wake up, and y'all starting to lose y'all stronghold on being on code. I think that all of that is flying out the window, and a lot of people are starting to then say, you know what? I never considered what it was that he was saying before, and this guy actually didn't align with what it is that I stand for right now, but I'm open to hearing what he got to say, because everything that we've been talking about and this mentality that we've been hitting on, it ain't been working. Yo, insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Why would you continue to do that, right? When I was in my 20s, I was thinking the same way as a lot of you guys was thinking, right?
I know y'all all have talked to somebody like this. Like, this nigga is rambling at this point. But, hey, you checked him out. That's it. Let him go a little bit more.
My parents, or not even my parents, my culture had taught me to think a certain type of way, had taught me to vote a certain type of way. You know, the same thing that they told you, oh, Democrats is for the poor, Republicans is for the rich, all of this stuff, right? But when I started thinking for myself, I realized that every single individual should be evaluated based off of their own merits. There's some bad Republicans, there's some bad Democrats, there's some good Republicans, there's some good Democrats, right? It's bad black people, it's good black people. It's bad white people and it's good white people. And so evaluating each individual and evaluating the policies and the mindset and whether or not it aligns with where it is that you see your family going long term is the more important way to evaluate whether or not you align with something, instead of just automatically being on code, because being on code is the thing that got our communities fucked up in the first place. It's the thing that got us messed up all the way across.
Okay. Anton has a large following, so I'm sure somebody understand where the hell he coming from. But let's see who else out here. Oh, let's see what academics. That's 8 minutes. I'm gonna see what academics say about it. Unc was ready for Charlotte. Let's see what academics do.
See this, but this was the topic of conversation. They're saying that Charlemagne allegedly got checked by Larry Elder. Let's watch the video. If you don't know, he's like a politician. He's right-wing leaning. And he did an interview on The Breakfast Club. I watched the whole thing. To summarize, I've never seen The Breakfast Club do this before, but clearly this Larry Elder nigga was a little bit witty and with some of his talking points that, I get.
Okay, pause. Did y'all hear academics say, this Larry Elder nigga, I gotta play that back. That's a candy moment. That leaves YouTube streaks.
To summarize, I've never seen The Breakfast Club do this before, but clearly this Larry Elder nigga was a little bit witty and with some of his talking points that, I guess liberal media might not agree with. Not only was Charlemagne having this interview with him, they had this other person on Zoom, like, teaming up to try to, debunk some of the stuff he was saying. Regardless, at the end of the interview, Charlemagne asked him a question because, Charlemagne was almost kind of painting him to be like what people would say, he's a sellout. He's like, he's cooling for the white man, right? And he basically asked the guy, have you ever heard of a nigga wake-up call? Because that's usually what they ask people.
This is fair usage for commentary, because I know it's going to be so many people trying to strike their content. Let's go, academic.
Who usually, you know, they're black, but they think they have the privilege of white people until they don't. This is what this exchange was.
Have you ever heard the term nigga wake up call?
No.
It is an incident where a person of color forgets that they are of color and are reminded rather brutally by an unexpected act of racism. Have you ever had any of those?
Brother.
I'm just asking. You think you've ever
Well,
had
I'm acutely aware, Charlamagne, that I'm a black person, just as you are a black person. And when Joe Biden insulted you by saying, you ain't really black, you don't know whether or not you want to vote for me or vote for Donald Trump, it seems to me that should have been a wake-up call on your part. How dare this guy come in here and insult you, a black man, and tell you you got to think a certain kind of way? I'm amazed that you weren't mad about that.
I'm not gonna say it upset me, just like I'm not saying you upset me. You know what I mean? I don't tend to get upset over things like that. What I did say.
Well, you just not talk about a nigga wake-up call, and it seemed to me that should have been a wake-up call on your part to have a white guy come in here who also said, by the way, about Mitt Romney. Because he didn't want to put more regulations on Wall Street, he's going to put y'all back in chains. And Joe Biden has lied for decades about his civil rights record, claiming that he desegregated movie theaters and restaurants in Wilmington, Delaware, when he didn't do any of that. He lied and said that he tried to visit Nelson Mandela during apartheid South Africa. He did not. And he came in here and told you aren't even black unless you think a certain kind of way. It seemed to me that should have been a nigga wake-up call for you, but it wasn't, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, no, for the record, I'm not a Democrat or Republican.
I didn't say you were.
Yeah, I think both.
I don't know what you are. I never even asked you about your party affiliation. Yeah, I'm just saying that you are black. And to have a white guy come in here and tell you have to say think a certain kind of way, otherwise you, quote, ain't black? Wow.
How should I have replied to him, you think?
What I just now said, how dare you insult me and tell me I think as a human being, let alone as a black person? I don't tell you how to think, Joe Biden. How dare you come in here and tell me how I should think? I'm going to vote for Donald Trump if I want to vote for Donald Trump, and if I want to vote for Donald Trump, it does not make me not black. 20% of black people, black men, as I said, voted for Donald Trump in 2020. Are they not black now? So only 80% of black men walking around are really black, 20% are not, because they voted for Donald Trump? How insulting is that? How condescending is that?
I mean, you're probably right, guys.
Well, I did.
And I said to him in that moment, it's about me wanting something for my people, and I want to know what is he going to do for my people. And not only for my people now, how are you going to atone for the things you've done to my people?
Right.
That's it.
Right. This is a guy, Joe Biden, who, when he first got into the Senate, hung out with segregationists, talked about how well he got along with them, talked about how he didn't want immigration because of the jungle. This guy has made all sorts of insulting things to black people, and his policies right now are hurting black people. Inflation hurts the people at the bottom more than anything else. Letting a bunch of illegal aliens under the border are hurting black people more than anybody else, as I said earlier. He's opposed school choice, and he has his own kids in private school. And we lost a year, almost 2 years of in-school education in California because of COVID that he supported. I mean, this guy has done monstrous things to black people, and then for him to come in here and tell you how you ought to think as a black person, that blew my mind.
As a person objectively who doesn't care about either party.
I ain't gonna lie. Bro got destroyed. That nigga came ready for Charlamagne. That nigga came. I watched the whole interview. Again, this is where, by the way, I think Charlamagne's a brilliant orator, you know, someone I look up to. I think he's just an all-time legend. But I'll be honest with you, I think this is, you know, I see where he's going. The next step is to be like a hit.
All right, that's enough for academics. All right, that's the rundown on that. And this plenty more. This is viral. But the thing that they show the most, you got to see the psychological control that white people have on a lot of black people. Where they just are defending, you know, they arguing about Trump, they arguing about Biden, you know what I mean? They arguing about white people, the power structure. They going on and on. And these are black people at each other's throat. One side is defending these white people, they defending these other white people. Ain't none of them defending black people. Because that's a whole different topic. So, that's my take on it. It's interesting. Y'all look into it. Peace out of Detroit. As always, keep that head on the swivel.